We have some amazing news regarding the $2,000 stimulus checks for you in this video. The wait is finally over. Much-needed payments for Social Security, SSDI, Virginia, and SSI claimants have been deposited into their bank accounts. If you've been waiting for this money, it will arrive soon. Route to you at this moment. Discover who qualifies for the stimulus checks of $2,000. To make sure you know if you qualify, we'll break down all the relevant data. We'll also walk you through the process of checking to see if your money has been transferred into your bank account. We address frequently asked questions concerning the stimulus checks, like how the amount is calculated and what to do if you run into any problems, to make sure you can quickly verify your deposit. Keep yourself updated on important deadlines and dates pertaining to these payments so you can get ready to pay. What to do if you haven't received your payment yet. We provide you information and advice to help you work through any problems. It's crucial to stay informed and make sure you're getting the money you're due, regardless of whether you're a veteran or a Social Security beneficiary, or obtain benefits for disability. You can learn everything there is to know about the new stimulus payments by watching this video. If you're one of the millions of Americans worryingly anticipating financial relief, don't miss out on this crucial information. Perhaps the lengthy commitment to following months of discussions and delays, $2,000 stimulus payments have begun to arrive in the bank accounts of Social Security Supplemental Security Income, Social Security Disability Insurance, and Veterans Affairs beneficiaries. This financial infusion may offer a much-needed lifeline to those who are finding it difficult to make ends meet during these difficult economic times. But everyone is wondering if this will be sufficient to hold them over, or if further help is still required. Millions of Americans have lost their employment, or had their income drastically reduced as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. But prior stimulus payments have helped to temporarily relief for those who have been living paycheck to paycheck while waiting for further government assistance for Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and VA beneficiaries. Assistance has finally arrived in the form of $2,000 in direct payments, which Congress approved late last year. These emergency monies are meant to enable pay some of the most vulnerable populations in the country's basic living costs, including as housing, food, utilities, and medical care. However, the road to getting this money into people's hands has been a long and bumpy one, fraught with political squabbles, logistical obstacles, and worries about the overall cost and fairness of such a broad measure. In late December, the $2,000 direct payments were approved as part of a larger $900 billion CO9 relief package. Those making up to $75,000 are eligible for the full $2,000 payment. This approval came after much back and forth between the White House and Congress. Payments for Social Security retirement beneficiaries phase out at higher income levels. For couples filing jointly who make up to $150,000 annually, and for households with qualifying dependents, payments will be based on data from 2019 or 2020 tax returns for SSDI, SSI, and VA beneficiaries who may not file. The Internal Revenue Service and Social Security Administration state that payments for taxes will be made on a regular basis based on data from program records. The majority of these $2,000 payments are expected to be deposited directly into recipients' bank accounts by the beginning of February. Those who do not will receive paper checks or debit cards. Banking details kept on record. So, who will profit from the most recent round of stimulus checks? In 2021, over 65 million Americans, including retired workers, disabled individuals, and survivors, receive Social Security benefits. Approximately $1,500 is the average monthly retirement benefit for the 8 million low-income elderly and disabled people. Got SSI payments in 2021? The maximum federal benefit was $794 for an individual or $1,191 for a couple. About 9.6 million disabled workers, ERS, and family members received benefits from the SSDI program in 2021. The average monthly payment was $1,172, or about $5 million. The Department of Veterans Affairs provided disability compensation benefits to veterans in 2021, with an average monthly payment of slightly over $1,500. In total, approximately 90 million Americans are expected to receive this crucial $2,000 INF fusion of funds, which is intended to help cover urgent expenses, while the $2,000 stimulus payment amount was the result of intense political wrangling. President Donald Trump initially pushed for $2,000 checks after a $600 direct payment was proposed, calling the original amount a disgrace and refusing to sign the relief. The need for additional economic relief has been evident. Invoice without making greater payments, Republicans were forced to awkwardly reject their own president's request and agree to significantly higher spending than initially suggested when Democrats, who have long argued for more substantial stimulus measures, welcomed Trump's $2,000 demand. In the end, the $2,000 figure was approved in late December. After following Trump's exit from office, weeks passed before all the legal obstacles were overcome, and the logistics of payment distribution were worked out by federal agencies. The lengthy delay between approval and delivery caused anxiety in many beneficiaries as their rent, mortgage, and utility bills for those still living were due. An additional $2,000 might go a long way toward helping people on fixed incomes or disability benefits meet their daily needs during the COVID-19 pandemic. The stimulus payments have been praised by consumer advocacy groups as vital emergency aid that helps the most vulnerable Americans from having to make difficult decisions between food, medicine, and previous stimulus funds, according to food bank networks, allowed millions of people to pay for groceries and pay off debt when their jobs were lost. However, some have questioned whether one-time $2,000 payments are fair or adequate given the pandemic's ongoing economic fallout, especially for those who have been unemployed for a long time. Claim that throughout the crisis, the payments ought to have been sent much more regularly and in greater amounts. There are worries that many people in need, such as millions of illegal immigrants and some low-income college students, would be overlooked. Senator Bernie Sanders and other advocates argued for monthly payments of $2,000. Calls for additional direct payments to households in the relief bill, a measure that would have offered much more sustained support, faced strong opposition due to the high costs and potential disincentives for returning to work with COVID-19 still looming and the economy remaining fragile. Reducing. As part of his administration's plans for economic recovery, President Biden has indicated his openness to another round of stimulus checks, but any attempt to sanction more payments is guaranteed to revive fierce discussion on Capitol Hill over the size and scope of such aid, as well as concerns concerning the federal deficit and possible dangers associated with inflation. Conservatives contend that rather than maintaining what they view as excessive government stimulus expenditure, the emphasis should be placed on securely restarting firms and restoring self-sustaining economic growth. They are likely to balk at any costly open-ended stimulus promises. Progressives, however, benefit greatly from direct payments. As essential to boosting consumer spending and assisting low-income households in regaining stability will help the economy recover more quickly, but moderates in both parties might be reluctant to inject trillions more into the system. While growing debt and worries about inflation, could the $22,000 previously granted serve as a sneak peek? Larger political conflicts over pandemic economics are yet to come. After so many painful delays and false starts, it will be interesting to see if further checks end up in Americans' mailboxes. Regardless, the receipt of these most recent $22,000 stimulus payments will definitely provide much-needed relief to struggling Social Security and insurance recipients. For better or worse, these checks will help millions of SSDI and VA beneficiaries make ends meet or avoid falling behind. However, as beneficial as this one-time infusion may be, it's unlikely to be a long-term panacea given the ongoing economic strain caused by the pandemic. Likely rekindle heated discussions over the proportionate importance and equity of direct stimulus programs in increasing the feeble comeback. What is certain is that, despite vaccinations raising hopes for a more complete recovery, millions of Americans will still be experiencing challenging circumstances in the months to come. May finally depend on finding the ideal balance in policy between providing humanitarian relief and reviving the economy. Though only time will tell if our country's leaders can thread that particular needle, for the time being, at least the $2,000 that many have been eagerly awaiting is finally on its way to help make the present a little more. As nice as this most recent round of stimulus checks may be, it's crucial to consider the wider picture of how the pandemic has affected various demographic groups receiving federal benefits, including a large number of elderly and disabled Americans living on fixed incomes. The turmoil in the economy has been particularly challenging to manage. Jim Barnes, a 72-year-old widower from Toledo, Ohio, is a retired factory worker who depends entirely on his $1,400 monthly Social Security check to get by.